Welcome to the first ever episode of my podcast, Literally My 2 Cents. Yes, that's the name of the title, and yes, I will literally give you my 2 cents on a topic, subject, anything along those lines. I know they're the same exact thing, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'll basically provide a stream of consciousness. Sometimes it could be a story, sometimes it'll be about entertainment, a movie, video game, doesn't matter. I could rant on and on and on about Star Wars, how much it's dead to me, stuff like that. You get the gist, that's what I will be talking about, and I hope you guys enjoy. My name's Phil, and this is my podcast, Literally My 2 Cents. In today's episode, I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened to me recently. My best friend has a baby. She turned 2 over the summer. Sometimes I get tasked with babysitting her. So one day I'm watching Muppet Babies with her. And yes, I love Muppet Babies, but I'm not talking about the original Muppet Babies. I'm talking about the new reboot. Disney. So I'm sitting there. I'm fully engrossed in this episode, but I'm also keeping my attention on her at the same time. I am not a bad babysitter. Out of the corner of my ear, I don't know if that's a phrase, I hear the characters talking about hatching a rubber chicken from a rubber chicken egg. And the whole episode is that weird scientist without the eyeballs. He just has glasses and a shadow that makes it look like he's squinting. Those are his eyes. I swear to God. I know it's an OG Muppet thing, but it's still hilarious and weird and creepy. So I'm sitting there and I hear Kermit go, "Fozzie, you can't hatch a rubber chicken from a rubber chicken egg." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the hell is Fozzie smoking? So then I go, "What are you smoking, Fozzie?" And of course my best friend's there and he starts laughing. So he has me say it again. Now this was the first time I ever said like goddamn or any type of word that wasn't appropriate in front of the children on purpose. So I said goddamn, but in Kermit's voice. So then my friend has me say it again. So I started going off on this tangent and I'm like, "God damn it, Fozzie, what are you smoking? You can't hatch a rubber chicken with a rubber chicken egg." So he has me say it again and again and it's freaking hilarious. And after a while I realized, holy crap, I can't really do Fozzie's voice because it's basically Kermit's voice, but it's like deeper. And it's like, hubba, hubba. I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, I could do a pretty good Kirby, Miss Piggy. Oh. So that's literally my 2 cents on that story. I'm going to move right into the next topic. I'm going to slide into the DMs of this topic, and I'm going to talk today about GIFs and how much I use GIFs. Everybody loves GIFs or GIFs, whatever you want to call them, however you want to pronounce it. They're the same thing. They're moving images. They're made in Photoshop. Spoiler alert. I found this out recently when I left for my little army training down in South Carolina. Somebody gave a class on how to make GIFs, and I was honestly blown away, and then I quickly brain dumped everything. But the only thing I did remember was that they're actually made in Photoshop, which is interesting because you could actually make videos in Photoshop, something else I did not know. But anyway, reaction GIFs, memes, I tend to overuse the hell out of GIFs. It could even be in a text messaging conversation on my phone. Somebody could be like, "Hey Phil, how you doing?" And I'll send a thumbs up of some guy, just a random dude just giving a thumbs up instead of actually saying word, which is funny because I feel that 99% of miscommunications start from using words and happen over text messaging. The best way to respond to a situation, or when you get an incoherent text, I'll just send a Ron Swanson gif of him staring, emotionless, and just doing a slight squint. That's my favorite reaction gif. I'm sure a few people listening know what that is. I love gifs, and I'll always send them. I'll always comment. If I see something on Facebook and somebody says something that warrants a gif, I will send a gif. I will never hold back on a gif, and I will always send gifs. I am the Santa of gift giving. I swear to God. There was only, I think, one time where I accidentally posted the wrong gif. It broke my soul. And I remember I texted a friend about it, and she told me not to worry. It happens all the time. My heart was broken, and I couldn't believe I posted the wrong gif. It was like sad reacts only, but I posted like something completely random that I accidentally clicked because sometimes on the computer that happens, but never on the phone. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on GIFs. GIFs are destroying society. GIFs are wonderful. My last topic on today's podcast is Star Wars, because who likes listening to someone talk for more than 6 minutes? Star Wars, The Last Jedi, Disney, Rian Johnson, or Rian Johnson, however you want to pronounce it, because the English language is complicated. He killed Star Wars. His trilogy coming out was canceled. Now it's back. IGN saying it's back. Rian Johnson confirmed it on Twitter. "No, it isn't true. I'm still working on the trilogy. With all due respect to the movie bros, who I'm sure are lovely, kind bros with good fraternal intentions." Wow. If he wants to pretend to be so funny over Twitter, maybe he could put some actual substance and humor and likability to some of the characters. But instead we get nothing. We get absolutely disgraceful tonal shifts, rehash of old action scenes, the chase scene that started Star Wars from the beginning. Everything's just copy, paste, money, Kathleen Kennedy, Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, Disney, fire this director, fire that director. But I'm getting off topic. Back to Star Wars. Everyone who was fired by Disney or by Kathleen Kennedy, however you want to look at it, has been very vocal on their opinions about Star Wars. And then you got the two directors of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They were hired to shoot Solo. I believe they started it. I don't really remember the full story. I know now that since they've directed Spider-Man, they won a Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature, and then they recently won the BAFTA for Best Animated Film. It just goes to show you, like, most of the people they fired either went on to do a project that was a huge moneymaker, because I know that's what they care about, but also something that was highly creative, original, fun. But back to the greatest evil, Rian Johnson's Trilogy coming out. I was hyped. I saw the trailer for Last Jedi. I was like, oh my god, this is great. I finally get to see Luke walk out, pull his cloak down, fight somebody with a green lightsaber. No, we don't get any of that. It's just ridiculous. He made so many fans upset. I don't know. He says he has his vision and he doesn't want to please the crowd. He just wants to tell a story that's his own and this and that. And he even said, quote, he doesn't want to intellectually process what everyone else wants. But that goes against what criticism even means. When you're being criticized, it doesn't mean you have to change for the critics. It just means you have to acknowledge what people dislike about your movies and maybe admit that you did something terrible. It was just absolute garbage what he did on Last Jedi. There's entire segments of that movie that just shouldn't exist. Honestly, it just didn't only just leave a bad taste in my mouth, it just made me not even want to go back to Star Wars at all, which is sad because everyone who knows me knows how much I love Star Wars. I mean, I have no words anymore about that film. And don't even get me started with the games. Seriously, let's not talk about the games. My 2 cents, fire Rian Johnson right now. And literally hire anyone. It could be the director of one of the worst fan films on YouTube and he could do better. There are so many creative people in this world. Hell, I'll take a freaking Zack Snyder Star Wars at this point. I'll take anything. Just no more Rian Johnson. No more milking freaking nerf herder animal creature things with Luke and close-ups. And God, the things they show versus the things they tell is just astounding, but I could go on and on forever. The point is, he shouldn't direct the new trilogy. They need to find a new director. My dream is that they hire Filoni, the guy who made Star Wars Rebels and who's super passionate about Star Wars. He literally knows how to tell a story, for one, and two, he creates characters that you actually care about, that actually have backbones, that don't just retreat. Every action scene in that movie is just a retreat, a fallback, something. It's not thrilling. I mean, that's something I never thought I'd say in a million years about Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is known for its action. It's known for its epic space battles, its unique lightsaber fights, everything about it, choreography, even cinematography. Star Wars has a look to it, and Last Jedi just didn't capture that magic. I wasn't in it. I wasn't with it. There was nothing about The Last Jedi that was cool. In fact, there's a video on YouTube. I'll link it. It shows how ridiculous the choreography is for that final throne room scene. Definitely click that link and watch it if you have time. I honestly hope that J.J. Abrams can save Star Wars at this point. I mean, I wasn't as excited as I was hoping when I heard he was coming back. I liked Force Awakens, but I knew it had its flaws. I knew that JJ was way too careful with the plot. But I mean, that made it a success. That made it a Star Wars film. I mean, one can argue it wasn't the perfect film, but it was still a Star Wars film. Whereas Last Jedi just felt like an episode of a TV show that you would skip, or a filler episode. Like, it just wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't connected to the story. The point is, I'm not too excited for episode 9, but I have some hope that JJ can at least salvage the story, because in Star Wars Rebels, which is owned by Disney, time travel is canon. So maybe somehow JJ, with his super creative mind, can work in time travel with the plot and maybe undo some of the events of Last Jedi, or somehow come up with a very creative way of fixing or perhaps retconning the entire plot through time travel. And just making something completely new that fans will love and remember for years and years and show their kids and et cetera, like basically what my generation and all the generations after me went through with Star Wars. Like, we grew up in a time where it was already out. We could just watch episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I was a kid. I was like 8 years old when episode 1 came out. So I had already seen the first 3, well, 4, 5, 6, and loved those movies. Like, that built my love of those movies. And then Force Awakens comes along, captures the same magic but tells me the same story. I enjoyed it, I just didn't love it. And then Last Jedi comes out and I'm just like, holy crap, Luke is milking animals and just hanging out on this island the whole time for 30 years. Like, what the hell is that? And he defends it on Twitter and quotes the freaking Last Jedi scripture, for God's sake, just to back it up. It's ridiculous. I'm talking about Rian Johnson on Twitter, not Mark Hamill, by the way. But anyway, I'm talking in circles here, and I'm rehashing things I've already said over and over and over again. Time is a flat circle, etc., etc., True Detective, blah, blah, blah. Speaking about The Last Jedi is just as emotionally draining as it is physically draining for me, as you can tell by my voice. I am completely shot, and I am done talking about Last Jedi. So that's it then. That's my pilot episode. In the future, I'll have some guests and more interesting topics, and definitely some funny stories with more voices, because I know I've been already receiving requests to do more voices. And maybe just something fun. I have a lot of fun things planned for the future. The future of my channel is bright, unlike Star Wars, and if you like what you heard, and if you like what you saw, smash that like button. In fact, destroy that like button like Rian Johnson destroyed Star Wars. Thanks for listening to Literally My 2 Cents. I'm Phil, and I hope to see you all back in the next episode.
God damn it, Rian Johnson. You can't make a Star Wars trilogy without having an already established fan base that still trusts in you.